What has society become way too dependent on? Internet and technology. I have a theory. We have self-driving cars on the horizon. Everything is becoming more and more automated and has Wi-Fi. People are becoming more and more dependent on technology for their everyday lives. If robots ever to rise up against humans, humans will have become so dependent on machines. We wouldn't be able to do anything to stop them. People wouldn't know how to do a lot of things, especially like social media type influencers. No doubt some of them would surrender and betray humans in like a second, or other people addicted to social media. Computers. There's like only a handful of companies, less than 5, that make all the processors you use in your computers today. And the technology required to make a modern-day CPU is so niche that like only 2 companies in the world make the machines required to make a modern CPU. After that again, only a handful of companies in the world have the ability to create memory chips used in modern-day computers. Essentially, if these companies died or stopped doing business, we will be set back way behind in computer tech available to us. Society has become far too reliant on smartphones. They're no longer just tools for communication. There are cameras, our alarm clocks, our navigators, and even our wallets. There's hardly a moment in the day when we're not tethered to these devices. And the idea of leaving home without one induces a near panic state for many. This dependency not only affects our social interactions, but also our ability to enjoy the moment without documenting it for social media. Computer calculators. It is easier to do calculations, even normal math, using a computer or calculator. So now people aren't able to perform mentally. It is easier to spell using keyboard typing because your muscle memory will help you. So now people may not be able to spell. It is easier to type generally than to write using pen paper. So now people don't know how to write or haven't held a pen in several years. These are very basic examples. Electricity. Your grandparents didn't even have it. And if they did, it was just pretty much for lights. Most places in the world don't even have a steady supply of it in 2024, and they get along. Power goes out for an hour and everyone shits themselves, and it starts turning into some post-apocalyptic shit. Electricity is a very nice to have, but it's not a need to have. Cars, and I'm saying it as a petrol head, some cars are great, but I would be incredibly happy to see a few times less cars in cities. But that's a very complicated problem to solve. Apart from better public transport and bike paths, we would need to ensure that things like stores and schools are close to people, not on the other fucking side of a city, and it sometimes is the case. The global supply chain, while a marvel of modern logistics, has made local economies and consumers are overly dependent on goods produced halfway around the world, highly efficient in times of stability, has shown its fragility during crises like pandemics or geopolitical tensions, highlighting the dangers of such heavy reliance on a complex, interconnected system. Social media. I don't know if it's by design or FOMO on social media to shape a lot of their life and decisions, which I feel is not a good way to about it. Especially since what you see on there are only snippets of the best moments in someone's life. Oxygen. I find it ridiculous that we only rely on one source of gas to be able to breathe. Elon Musk has diversified in many products. He's a true example of adaptability and exploration. I'll try carbon monoxide tomorrow. Write an update to you lazy asses. The internet. We had Wi-Fi outages where I live and the town nearly crumbled as hospitals and the ambulances couldn't communicate. Also, cash is becoming non-apparent. Making everything digital will hurt the average person significantly. What does too dependent even mean for society? People are saying phones and internet, but we could live without those. What about factories, farms, soap, trash removal, medicine, plumbing? It's a really hard to answer question. Clocks. There's no spontaneity anymore. For most people, a schedule dictates your life. You're tied to this thing that requires you plan your life around it. You can't just exist and live. There's always a time restraint. Predigested information. Seems most people just want to be spoon-fed a position and a neat synopsis of an issue instead of actually investigating themselves and coming to their own conclusions. AI. More and more people use this for their work or school, and it diminishes any critical thinking for themselves. This is what the real dangers are of artificial intelligence. Cars. Outsourced labor. Food resources from thousands of miles away. Governments. Businesses that don't care about employees or consumers. Threat of nukes to keep the peace. Smartphones. My kids aren't bad because we never let it get that way. But I see some of their friends have panic attacks if they misplace their phone temporarily. Social media. I think it's a nice commodity to connect with friends and family or maybe even meet people around the world, but we've gotten too obsessed with it. Post-Y2K technology. Anything related to smartphones. These so-called AIS and voice-activated devices. Celebrity hero worship media. Reality TV. Social media has replaced actual news. They're way to many citizen journalists. If I wanted to see fake news, I would buy Weekly World News or The Onion. The ozone layer. As soon as we started to get rid of it, people were all like, "New. You'll kill US all, stoop. Fucking pussies. GPS. We should not do away with lighthouses and traditional navigation. I'm amazed they don't teach map reading and such in school. Being inside and away from nature. Also, social media is just too much," she says while scrolling on yet another app. Electricity. Until 130 years ago, most people hadn't even heard of electricity. Now we cannot live without it. Convenience. Anything sort of difficult, or if you have to wait, sends people in a downward spiral. It's crazy. Emotional support. Many people cannot be emotionally independent anymore without losing their fucking minds. Cars. Thanks to the government for designing such car-centric cities and the lack of public transportation. GPS navigation. Young people don't own any paper maps, and I don't think they know how to read them. You're asking this on the most dependent upon medium in human history. It's the fucking internet, eh? Cell phones. Suddenly it's like an appendage. I'm not sure when it happened, but it happened. To vast and practically instant access to stuff like social media the internet gives us. I love drugs. But our society is being destroyed by Jenks's psychotical Adderall and TRT. Validation from others. You aren't special, and nobody cares except your small circle. Life's all about the weight. Or is it? Society's hooked on instant everything. Whatever it is, we give money to FKN stupidly rich people to still have it. GPS. I couldn't imagine having to print out MapQuest to go on a road trip. Privatized necessities of life: housing, food, water, healthcare. Software updates to fix critical security vulnerabilities. On society itself, very few people are self-sufficient.